Live from New Delhi, you're watching DDI India Global. We'll get you top stories from India and the region. I am Tanvi Taneja, and for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my dear colleague in London, Ollie Barrett. Happy Friday, Ollie.
Happy Friday, Tanvi. It's 12:30 p.m. here in London, 1:30 across Central Europe. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll have live reporting from India and Israel, and we'll get the latest on Donald Trump's trial. First, Tanvi, you've got the headlines.
Indians come out in large numbers to vote, braving rain, heat and terrain. Israel and Iran both gave muted response to this morning's Isfahan attack. Tehran signals no further retaliation. US State Secretary Antony Blinken says G7 is committed to Israel's security and holding Iran accountable. And 12 jurors finally selected in the Trump hush money trial. The former US president calls it unfair that he is in court rather than on campaign trail. So voting in India for the first phase of the lower house Lok Sabha elections in 102 constituencies across 17 states and 4 union territories will conclude at 6 p.m. local time today, with the youth, senior citizens, differently abled, all participating in the largest elections of the world. It's a great indicator of the voters' will to decide their future. We have a report.
Voters across all the 102 constituencies of the first phase of India's Lok Sabha elections are casting their votes on Friday, with estimated number of voters to be around 160 million. The fervour of the voting season is a sight to behold. Important personalities and politicians were also seen among the lines of the polling booths. They took part in the electoral process and encouraged other voters to also exercise their right to vote. Among eminent voters were Mohan Bhagwat, the chief of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, who exercised his franchise in Maharashtra's Nagpur. Arunachal Pradesh CM Pema Khandu also cast his vote in Tawang. Meghalaya CM Conrad K. Sangma cast his vote in Tura. Uttarakhand CM Pushkar Singh Dhami also cast his vote. Celebrities are also taking the elections as an important duty in country's democratic process. Actors Rajnikant, Kamal Hassan and Dhanush were also seen queuing up at their nearest polling stations to cast their votes. Spiritual guru Sadguru Jaggi Vasudev also cast his vote in Tamil Nadu's Coimbatore. The season of election coincides with the auspicious wedding season. Responsible married couples completed their duty of casting their ballot by taking time out of their wedding rituals. While a newlywed bridegroom delays the procession of Bidai for voting at Bhaderwa, in Jammu and Kashmir, a married couple in Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur were seen at a polling booth to cast their vote right after their marriage ceremony.
मैंने इनको बोला कि हमें जाना चाहिए वोट देने के लिए, और मैं सभी से यही बोलूँगी कि अपने वोट को वेस्ट ना करें. एक अच्छी जो भी जिसे भी आप देना चाहते हो जाएं और अपना जरूर टाइम दें, वोट जरूर डालें.
Innovative ways have been deployed by the election officials to attract voters to polling booths. One such example was a bamboo and forest theme polling station in Katta of Ramtek constituency of Maharashtra. The Nagpur district administration hopes that the voters will get a new experience with this unique concept. One of the largest election processes in the world has begun with much buzz and energy. The citizens of India acknowledge the voting period as a chance to exercise their right and fulfill their necessary demands and needs. Bureau Report, DD India.
And let's now connect with our correspondents spread across different polling states to give us more on the action. Anbarasan from Chennai and Shishu Shelar from Nagpur join us now. First to Anbarasan. Well, it's a tale of three fronts in Tamil Nadu. How has the voting gone so far?
As the final, the 3 p.m. voter turnout data as revealed by the Election Commission just now before, and around 51% of percentage of voters turnout has been recorded. And due to the weather reasons and also due to the summer heat, the people are just now only getting out of their home, and you can see it in behind me that they are in queuing up to polling their vote actually. So around all the 39 constituencies including Puducherry, and also there is a one assembly seat also, there is a by-election. So in all the constituencies, maximum Dharmaburi constituency, around 57% of voter has been recorded, and the minimum where we are standing in Central Chennai constituency, around 41% of voter turnout has been recorded. And as we see in the early morning itself from 7 a.m. onwards, the star actors Rajinikanth, Kamal Hassan, and also the Chief Minister and various political leaders, and also the first time voters. Actually, when we interact with the first time voters and all, they actually express they are very happy to cast their vote. And also there is a pink booth only specifically focused for the women and pregnant women and also elderly people. So across all the entire day, it went on very nice, and also there is some glitches in the EVM machines in some parts of our polling booth. The election commissioner has given a press meet and said that that has also been sorted out across all the 39 constituencies. So the entire there is no law and order issues, and also it went on very nice. The entire voting process, and just a few hours to complete the voting process, the people are queuing up into the polling station to vote for the democracy festival.
All right, let's go to Shishir Shelar now. Shishir, Maharashtra has 5 seats going to polls in this phase, and with just an hour about or so to go now for polling to close, what have you seen so far? The enthusiasm, give us the latest.
Well, absolutely. If you talk about the voter turnout numbers, the numbers we received till 3 o'clock, that Maharashtra has almost 44% of voter turnout. And in this 5 seat particularly, I would say that the Chandrapur district has got a maximum voter turnout, whereas the Nagpur city has got 38% voter turnout here. At some places in Gadchiroli district, because the Gadchiroli district is one of the sensitive region, and that's the reason at some polling station, the polling time was between 7 a.m. in the morning till 3 p.m. Some of the polling station, the polling has almost ended at 3 o'clock. But at the normal polling stations, the polling will continue till 6 o'clock right now. So just 1 hour left for the polling to end here. But as far as this voter turnout concerned, compared to last time, till 3 o'clock the numbers are less. But due to the scorching heat, we speak to some of the polling officials also. They said that the major voter turnout they saw in the morning time between 7 a.m. till 12. After that, the voter turnout has become slowed because of scorching heat, but again, it's going to pick up. That's what they're expecting after 4 o'clock, and between 4 to 6, again, we'll see some of the jump in the voter turnout. As far as the other important constituency concerned, the Ramtek constituency has seen almost 40% of voter turnout. The Bhandara Gondia has seen almost 45% of voter turnout, and the Chandrapur parliamentary constituencies has a 43% turnout. Talking about the Nagpur specifically, let me tell you that this time around, to attract more and more voters, various actions have been taken by the initiative taken by the Nagpur authority here. And that's the reason we have seen some of the different theme-based polling stations. We've been to some of the polling stations here. For example, the rainbow theme polling stations have been created to attract more of the transgender and LGBT community voters also. And we spoke to some of them, and they said this happened for the first time in the Nagpur, that such kind of a polling station has been created for them. Obviously, they are quite enthusiastic, and they've said that probably they will see the maximum participation from the community this time around for the democracy. At the same time, we've also seen some of the old people also have come out to cast their vote. We spoke to one of 95-year-old person who enthusiastically cast his vote, has said that since last nearly 40 years he's consistently giving his vote here to make the democracy stronger.
Indeed.
Well, that's probably one of the important aspiration for all the young voters who've been seeing it that still have not voted. We would say that they can also participate in this festival of democracy and probably
Yeah,
can
one
vote
has to
before,
make one's vote
it's 6
count.
o'clock.
Yes, we look forward to the overall voting percentage figures as soon as they come in. Thank you very much, Ishu Shelar and Anbarasan, for joining us in DD India Global. On to the West Asia crises now. The strike in Iran's central city of Isfahan has created a lot of buzz globally. The limited scale of the attack and Iran's muted response to it give us some relief though. My colleague Ollie Barrett is in London and gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Ollie, fruitful results for global diplomacy so far?
Well, Tanvi, to a certain extent, I think we'll have to wait and see on that. But so far, as you say, the reactions to the strike have been muted in both Iran and Israel. Explosions heard in Iran's Isfahan city as the country activated its air defences in a move that reports have described as a response to an Israeli strike. This comes after last week's unprecedented Iranian attack on Israel. According to Iranian state media, 3 drones which were spotted in the sky over Isfahan were destroyed by air defences. Iran did close its airports in Tehran, Shiraz and Isfahan for a period. Isfahan houses the Natanz nuclear site. Well, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is at G7 foreign minister talks in Capri, where he says that his fellow G7 nations are committed to holding Iran accountable.
The unprecedented Iranian attack on Israel, unprecedented in scope and scale. Scope because it was a direct attack on Israel from Iran, scale because it involved more than 300 munitions, including ballistic missiles. We're committed to Israel's security. We're also committed to de-escalating, to trying to bring this tension to a close.
And those foreign ministers from the G7 major powers say they will continue to work towards preventing further rise in tensions in the region. European Union Chief Ursula von der Leyen called on Israel and Iran to refrain from any further escalation.
We have to do everything possible that all sides refrain from the escalation in that region. We have seen the massive attack with drones and missiles, around about 300 by Iran on Israel. It is absolutely necessary that the region stays stable and that all sides refrain from further action.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has refused to speculate on the incident in Isfahan. He says the UK is working to confirm details.
It's a developing situation. It wouldn't be right for me to speculate until the facts become clear, and we're working to confirm the details together with allies. We have condemned Iran's reckless and dangerous barrage of missiles against Israel on Saturday, and Israel absolutely has the right to self-defense. Significant escalation is not in anyone's interest. What we want to see is calm heads prevail across the region.
Well, DD India's Sarah Coates joins us live now from Tel Aviv. Sarah, when, if ever, do we expect to hear more from Israeli officials on that reported strike on Iran?
Hello there, Ollie. Highly unlikely we will hear anything from Israeli officials. It is not Israel's policy to comment on such incidents. One person, though, that we have heard from, the most senior person in the government, is the far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. He posted one word on X, on Twitter, and that was translated from Hebrew to weak. Now, he is being slammed right across the political spectrum, really, here in Israel for that tweet. The opposition leader, Yair Lapid, says that never before has a minister in the security cabinet done such heavy damage to the country's security, to its image and to its international status. Now, a few other comments that we have heard here in Israel, one of those being from the IDF, from the military. It put out an advisory saying that the public, saying that nothing has changed. But we do know that the US Embassy here, it's told its staffers and their families to restrict their movement here in Israel, while the Australian government has also put out a travel advisory saying that people should leave Israel and the Palestinian territories if it is deemed safe to. Ollie.
Sarah, what has gone into Israel's decision-making process about how to respond to that drone and missile attack last weekend by Tehran?
Certainly a lot, actually, Ollie. We do need to remember the broad consensus here in Israel in the wake of that unprecedented attack last Saturday, and that was that it cannot go unpunished. You cannot have 300 missiles, drones launched at a country and not retaliate. But this does certainly seem as though it could be the end of this sort of direct confrontation between Israel and Iran. It is a fairly limited strike that we've seen on Iran compared to what it could have been. And it's important to point out that neither of these sides want any further direct confrontation. Now, of course, there is also all of this international pressure. There were many talks between Israel and US officials in the lead up to this. The United States was warning Israel that if indeed it did respond to Iran, that it should be a limited response, while many other international players, including you could call it an Arab coalition here in the region, they're really calling for restraint. But what we did see is a coalition really built last weekend with so many people using their air defense systems to actually block these 99% of missiles and drones.
Sarah Coates in Tel Aviv, thank you. United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres has been calling for de-escalation in the region, saying recent escalations make it even more important to support efforts to find lasting peace.
The Middle East is on a precipice. Recent days have seen a perilous escalation in words and deeds. One miscalculation, one miscommunication, one mistake could lead to the unthinkable, a full-scale regional conflict that would be devastating for all involved and for the rest of the world. The moment of maximum peril must be a time for maximum restraint.
More than $1 billion in a new weapons deal for Israel is being considered by the Biden administration, including tank ammunition, military vehicles and mortar rounds as well. US officials say the proposal would provide Israel with $700 million worth of tank ammunition, $500 million in tactical vehicles and under $100 million in mortar rounds. G7 foreign ministers are vowing to bolster Ukraine's air defense capabilities amid a renewed Ukrainian push for more weapons. In a draft statement, the leaders who are meeting in Italy's Capri say they are continuing to look at ways to use frozen Russian sovereign assets held in the West to help fund aid for Ukraine. At the summit, NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg said the alliance is taking steps to provide Kyiv with the US-made Patriot system.
There's an urgent critical need for more air defense. We're working actively on that in NATO now, ever since Foreign Minister Kuleba attended our foreign ministerial meeting just 2 weeks ago in Brussels. So we have stepped up. We have compiled data about the different air defense systems we have in NATO, focused on the Patriot systems. And we are working with allies to ensure that they redeploy some of their systems to Ukraine. Germany has already made a decision.
Well, Ukraine's Foreign Minister, Dmytro Kuleba, who's been attending the G7 meeting, says the West has the capacity to help both Ukraine and Israel, saying they are two theatres of the same war.
The West has the capacity to be efficient in all crises. And this must be clear. It has the capacity, military capacity, financial capacity, but it has to provide Ukraine with all necessary resources as soon as possible to save Europe from a larger war. And this was the main topic of my conversations, and we identified specific steps which Western partners will make to help Ukraine under these circumstances.
A jury of 12 people was seated Thursday in former US President Donald Trump's history-making hush money trial, moving proceedings closer to opening statements and the start of weeks of testimony. Lawyers for the defense and the prosecution still need to select alternate jurors for the trial. The first ever trial of a former American president will unfold in the middle of this year's race for the White House, ensuring that the legal troubles of the presumptive Republican nominee will be a major issue in the contest against Democratic incumbent Joe Biden.
Supposed to be in a lot of different places campaigning, but I've been here all day on a trial that really is a very unfair trial. These are all stories. This is over the last few days from legal experts.
That's it from me, Tanvi, for today. Back to you in New Delhi.
Happy weekend to you, Ollie. Thank you very much for all those updates. Ollie Barrett joining us all from London. You're watching DD India Global, still to come on the show. The Air Forces of South Korea and the US staged joint drills to strengthen their combined capabilities.
Traditional knowledge can often help us gain new prospects for the future. Speaking of traditions, what did you have for lunch today?
We thought that through Sputnik Farms, we can try to create more resilient and more sustainable kind of food system.
We wanted to recover the art of weaving we knew as children. We founded the Nurupu Collective, which aims to improve the situation of weavers here.
By working with this parametric modeling, we can change the city and visualize it in several different ways. So that's a very strong mechanism in the digital twin, just working with parametric visualization.
In the IPCC, we have a range of different climate modelling scenarios, ranging from low emission scenarios to really high emission scenarios, and kind of everything in between.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. Back to India, Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi has been appointed as the next Chief of the Indian Navy. Tripathi has served as the Vice Chief of the Navy Staff and executed multiple important assignments in his 40-year-long career. He will assume the charge of his new office on April 30th. Born on May 15th, 1964, Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi was commissioned into the executive branch of the Indian Navy on July 1st, 1985. India has delivered BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles to the Philippines on Friday as part of the $375 million deal between the two sides signed in 2022. Acknowledged as the foremost and swiftest precision-guided weapon on a global scale, BrahMos has played a pivotal role in enhancing India's deterrence capabilities. The BrahMos supersonic cruise missile is one of the most successful missile programs in the world. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. The Air Forces of South Korea and the United States kicked off the 15-day joint drills known as Korea Flying Training last Friday with 100 warplanes. The exercises are an annual event designed to sharpen the combined readiness of their military forces. Special Operation Forces from the two countries also staged an airborne training exercise with paratroopers as part of the annual drills. Floods due to heavy rain since Monday in Pakistan's Baluchistan have claimed at least 6 lives and threw everyday lives off track for residents. The waters also damaged houses and other infrastructure. Local meteorological department has warned of severe weather conditions such as thunderstorms and rain to persist till April 29th. Renowned music artist Taylor Swift surprised fans with her new record, The Tortured Poets Department, on Friday. She revealed it was a double album featuring songs about heartbreak and a period described as the saddest story of her life, with an additional 15 songs added to the original album later. And as we wind up this edition of DD India Global, we take you to Japan, where cherry blossoms at a park in the northeastern prefecture of Omore are in full bloom. Hirosaki Park is home to about 2,600 cherry trees and 52 varieties. It's one of Japan's best-known places for appreciating the beauty of cherry blossoms. So with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Global. Join us for another edition of the show live from Washington, D.C. at 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. For those of you on the go, you can catch all the latest news and updates on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. You can also connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. I'm